Okay, so Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that Indriyanam means amongst the senses. Charatam Indriyanam hi. That means Charatam means the roaming senses. Charatam. That means it has two meanings. Charatam actually means roaming. It also means eating. So when the senses which are roaming amongst them, even one of the senses uh, on which you focus the mind can carry away a man's intelligence, just like a boat is carried away by the wind. That means even one of the senses on which the mind focuses can lead us astray. It can destroy our intelligence. Harati prajnam. It can carry away man's intelligence. Uh, So you have, for example, you have determined to study, but suddenly you see a beautiful girl, then your the senses are carried away, your intelligence is carried away. You just close the book and then you go and try and talk to her and impress her. Right? So even one of the senses, or similarly, you just hear a nice sound, or you smell nice samosa, and you close the book and you want to eat the samosa. So what happens is even one of the senses, if your mind focuses on that, it can destroy your intelligence. So therefore, all the senses have to be controlled. Hmm. It may seem to be a very difficult task, and it is a difficult task. However, if you are, I mean to say, if you are connected to Krishna, if you are a devotee of Krishna, then it's easy. Krishna's help will be there. Okay. Or Krishna's help comes to those who are his devotees. Then for them it is easy to control the senses. Next shloka. तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेभ्यस्तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. So, one whose senses are controlled, they are restrained from sense objects, is a man of steady intelligence. यानिशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सानिशा पश्यतो मुनेः. That which is night. So, what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self control. And the time of awakening for all beings is the night for the introspective sage. It means that for a person who is a devotee, the night for the devotee is day for others, those who are not devotees. And the day for the devotee is the night for others. What does it mean? Don't say that it means that the devotee is living in America. Okay, don't say that. That's not what it means. Because in America, if it is day, then it's night here. If it is night there, then it is day here. So what Krishna is saying here is that for a devotee, what is the day for devotee is night for other people, and what is night for devotee is day for other people. That does not mean that a devotee lives in America. It actually means that those things which the devotee considers to be important, the other people they think it's not so important, right? And what the other people think is very important, that the devotee thinks it's not so important. That means their priority is in certain things, and our devotee's priority is in a different thing. Like say, for example, materialistic people, for them, what is the priority? The priority is to enjoy. Right? Materialistic people, their main motto is to enjoy. But whereas for devotee, the main motto is to serve Krishna. Huh? For a devotee, the main goal is to please Krishna. That is the main goal. And for a devotee, the main goal is not only this life, but life after death. We are thinking about life after death. But But for materialistic people, they are only thinking about life before death. We don't know when that death will come. We may just pass away in the pandemic also. We don't know. We don't know when the death will come. But for a non-devotee, he is focused only on this life, and that also only how to enjoy this life, not how to serve others. But for devotee, it's the opposite. Devotee is always focused on how to serve, and is focused on permanent things, uh, not just temporary things. So what the materialistic people, what they consider important, devotees, they don't think it is so important. And what devotees think is important, that is serving God and serving Krishna and loving God, realizing self. Materialistic people think that's not so important. That's why it's important to learn. Many people ask why are you preaching to college students? Why ISKCON programs are conducted for college students? Why ISKCON programs are not conducted for others? ISKCON programs are conducted for everyone. For schools also we do, for colleges also we do, and for adults also we do. I mean to grown-ups. I mean to say those who are elderly. For them also we do. But the best time to learn is college life. Why don't you find 40, 50-year-old people in colleges as students? Anyone among you is 40 years old? Any students here who's 40 or 50 years old? आप में से कोई है जो 40-50 साल के उम्र नहीं है ना? हाँ, एक एज के बाद तो लेते ही नहीं है. After a certain age, they don't take you in college. Why? Because there is a certain age for learning. At a certain age, you can learn and you can perform. After that, you can't learn. It's very hard to learn. So same thing applies for spiritual knowledge also. For spiritual knowledge, unfortunately, there is no department. In your schools and colleges, they are only teaching you English, Hindi, maths, science, social studies in school. And in college, they are teaching you engineering or medicine or whatever. But is there any department which teaches what is the difference between body and soul? What is the difference between living body and dead body? Why suddenly it changed? Why can't a dead person be brought back to life? Right? Is there any department which studies that? No. Is there any department which studies, is there life after death? No. Unfortunately not. At least not in schools and colleges. So therefore, that is very much essential. And that's what ISKCON is trying to do. That's why we preach in the colleges. So this is the best time to learn spiritual life also. And that is the most important thing, because there is a completely there is a big difference between the materialistic paradigm and the spiritual paradigm. Materialistic people, they are always thinking, where can we get the money? How we can enjoy the senses? How we can just enjoy life with our family and friends and everyone. That's their only goal. But spiritual people, their goal is not just this life, they are thinking about life after death. People are panicking. Why God is not helping in the pandemic? COVID is happening. So many people are dying without oxygen. We are not able to breathe. But did we consider how many trees we are cutting? How many animals we have deprived of their oxygen? Have you thought about that? So my point is, materialistic life means you exploit nature as much as possible. You can kill the animals, you can cut the trees, you can exploit other people, but just enjoy life. But spiritual paradigm is the opposite. We want to serve others, not just the body, but the soul also. So that is a spiritual paradigm. And they are completely opposite. One is focused on the body and the other is focused on the soul. Nobody talks about the soul. Nobody talks about life after death. But that is the most important department which is missing in today's educational system. So that's what Krishna is saying, that whatever materialistic people they think is important, for the devotees, for the spiritual people, that's not so important. And for the spiritual people, what they think is important, materialistic people they think that's not so important. So there's a complete, they are completely two opposite worldviews. All right. आपूर्यमाणम् अचल प्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled out, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Very beautiful shloka. Here it is said, Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve shantimapnoti na kamakami. Krishna says that he is giving an example, a beautiful example. I won't take a very long class. I'll just take another 10 minutes. And after that, I would like to have questions and answers. I'd like to hear questions from all of you. And I like to answer questions. That's my favorite part of the session. So therefore, I would encourage every one of you to please definitely ask questions. Whatever you have in mind, just please feel free to ask questions at the end, not now, as I finish in like another 10 minutes or so. Okay, so in this verse, Lord Krishna is saying, Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. Apuryamanam means he's giving the example of an ocean. The ocean is always being filled with water, right? The rivers are flowing in, and the rains are also coming. In the rainy season, what happens? In the rainy season, a lot of water is poured into the ocean through the rains and through the rivers, right? So, but the ocean level does not rise, even though there may be huge rain or many rivers may be pouring water in it, but the level of the ocean remains the same. And in summer season, there's a lot of evaporation. The water gets evaporated in the form of clouds, and the rivers are also very. The water is very less. But the ocean level does not go down. The ocean level does not go down in the summer. It does not go up in the rainy season. It remains the same throughout. Why? Because it is so deep, it is so vast, and it's so deep that it doesn't make any difference. All the water that you are pouring from above, it doesn't make much of a difference, right? Because the ocean is so huge. So similarly, a person who is a self-realized soul, who is a spiritually advanced person, who is spiritually realized person, for such a person, for a devotee, many desires may come, but he is not affected by those desires. Because he is so deep in his Krishna consciousness. Like say, for example, for a great devotee, if he sees a beautiful woman, for him also the woman looks beautiful only. It's not that the woman looks ugly. He doesn't see the woman as ugly. The beautiful woman is beautiful woman for even for an advanced person. But what is the difference between a spiritually advanced person and other person? For other person, when he sees a beautiful woman, he can't control. He has to run behind that beautiful. But a spiritually advanced person is not affected by that attraction. Like if you have a magnet, with the magnet you can attract an iron nail, right? An iron nail can be attracted. But you have a small magnet, you can't attract, like a huge iron ore, okay, with the magnet, or a huge ship or something, or an aeroplane, or anything that is made of iron. If it is very huge, you can't attract with a small magnet. The attraction may be there, but it is very, very little. He is not affected by it. So similarly, a great personality, when has any attraction in this material world, he also has attraction. He also likes to eat nice, tasty food. He also likes to see something beautiful. But the difference is, those desires do not trouble him. Those desires do not disturb him. And those desires do not affect him. That is the difference. Just like the ocean, it may be filled with so much water, so much rain, and so many rivers. But all that does not affect the level of the ocean because it is so huge and so deep. Similarly, a person who is self-realized, he doesn't get affected. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada was like that. There are many great personalities who are like that. So similarly, when we become advanced in Krishna consciousness, now how do we become deep like this ocean? How do we become so huge? When we have a deep sense of love for Krishna. When we love Krishna very deeply, when we are very advanced in Krishna consciousness, then the other attraction becomes very, very weak because of our deep absorption in spiritual life. That is the secret. So when you are deeply in love with Krishna, then you don't get affected by any other attraction in this material world. Therefore, the Bhagavatam says, Rupa Goswami says actually, that if you want to be attached to this material world, you want to enjoy, do you want to enjoy life? If you want to enjoy life, then don't look at Krishna, he says. Don't look at Krishna. Especially when he's standing near the bank of Yamuna, playing the flute. Don't look at him. Because if you look at him, then all the attraction for this material world will go away. And you'll become attracted to him. And then you will consider everything else is insignificant. Right? So therefore, Rupa Goswami says, don't look at Krishna. He's a very dangerous fellow. Because if you look at Krishna, then he'll attract you so much that all other attractions become pale. You don't want to enjoy the material world. You just want to love and serve Krishna. That's all. That's the wonderful effect of Krishna's bhakti, Krishna consciousness. But that doesn't make you irresponsible. Now, don't misunderstand me. That doesn't mean that, okay, you'll stop studying and you'll stop working or you'll stop doing your duties. No. You will do those duties for Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure. Not for your selfishness, not for your selfish benefit. You will try to do that in the mood of service. You'll become more responsible. Like Arjuna. Arjuna, he didn't want to fight. He just wanted to leave the battle. But when he heard the Gita, what happened? It's not that he became irresponsible. He became more responsible. He became very duty-minded. He fought very valiantly. Right? So, Krishna consciousness does not make you irresponsible. It does not make you neglect your duties. If you are following Krishna consciousness properly, you become more responsible than others. But only difference is this time you are not worried about your own selfish enjoyment. You are concerned about others. You are concerned about others' benefit. You are concerned about Krishna's pleasure. And you are concerned about the benefit of everyone. Not just only material benefit, but you are concerned to benefit the soul of every living being. So you do your duties very nicely so that you can use them in Krishna's service for the benefit of humanity in the future. So that's the thing. So Shanti Mapnoti Nakama. Just like a small baby, I'll give you another beautiful example to explain this point. So there's a small baby, small child. If he is walking and while walking he falls down. He falls down and hurts his knee. He has a small scratch. Then the baby, what the child will do immediately? He'll start crying. He'll start crying and weeping and all that. But if you or I, if we are walking on the street and if we slip and fall, do we cry like a child? No. We may feel some pain, but immediately we'll forget it because we have so many other important things to do, right? What is the difference? The child also feels the pain, we also feel the pain, but the difference is the child is very much affected by the pain. When he falls and has a scratch, for him, that is the whole world, as if, the whole world is full of misery. The whole world is full of suffering. That's how the baby thinks. He only is concerned with that pain. That's why he's crying for a long time. But we have so many more important things. We are not affected by that pain, although we may have the pain. So similarly, a devotee, he is not affected by the attractions and repulsions of this world, because he is concerned with what? With more important things like pleasing Krishna, and serving Krishna, and serving others who are all sons of Krishna, who are all children of Krishna. So therefore, we don't get affected by the pleasures and pains of this world so much. So that's what this verse actually means. Next verse. We have just two more shlokas left. Vihaya kaman yah sarvan pumans charati nispraha tirmamo nirahankara shashanti madhigacchati. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. Vihaya kamanya sarvan umams charati nispraha nirmamo nirhankara shashanti madhigacchati. So Krishna is saying, so one who has given up all desires for sense gratification. See, there are two stages. One is the lowest stage. In the lowest stage, you only desire for sense gratification. You know what is sense gratification, right? Sense gratification means to satisfy your senses. The eyes, the ears, nose, the tongue, and skin. These are the five senses. And mind is also considered one of the senses. So six senses. So we want to satisfy our senses. We want to see something beautiful. We want to hear some nice music. We want to taste something very tasty. We want to eat something very tasty. We want to touch something which is very pleasurable. And similarly, we want to smell some nice fragrant things, right? So that is called sense gratification. So a person on the materialistic level, he is only concerned with sense gratification. And on the highest level, a great devotee of God, he is only concerned with pleasing Krishna. His only one desire in life is to love and serve God. But we are somewhere in the middle. We are not on that level also, and we are not somewhere here also. We want to serve Krishna a little bit, but we also want to enjoy. We also have a lot of desires to enjoy the senses, right? So, but this is our goal. Our goal is to eventually purify ourselves to reach that stage where all our desires are completely spiritualized. All our desires are completely selfless. All our desires are only for the pleasure of God and for the benefit of others. That is the saint. So gradually we want to go from here to there, right? So when you reach that stage, then you become completely peaceful. When you become completely happy, you will not worry about anything. That's what Krishna says. Last shloka. Esha brahmi sthiti partha nainam prapya vimukhyati sthitva syamanta kalepi brahma nirvana mrichyati. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, and after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Esha brahmi sthiti partha. This is called brahmi sthiti. What is brahmi sthiti? Nainam prapya vimuhyati. In that stage, a person is not agitated by anything. He is not bewildered by anything. He is only agitated by the beauty of Krishna. He is only attracted and agitated by the beauty of Krishna and by the wonderful qualities of Krishna. And Stitvasyam antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichyati says that if at the time of death, when a person dies, this is very, very important. Please pay attention. When a person dies, whatever he thinks at that time, at the time of death, that's what he gets in the next life. So at the time of death, if you are thinking about a dog, then it's possible that in your next life you may become a dog or a dog keeper or something related to dog, depending on your karma. Like in Bhagavatam, there is a story of one person, Bharat Maharaj. At the time of death, he was thinking about a deer. So next life he became a deer. So similarly, he says, Krishna says here, at the time of death, if you are thinking about God, if you are completely absorbed in spiritual consciousness, then you become liberated, then you attain God, right? So therefore, that is the goal of life. At the time of death, you want to think about Krishna, not anyone else, right? And how you can think of Krishna at the time of death? Well, if you practice throughout your life. If you don't practice in your life to think of Krishna at the time of death, you can't. Like if you have not prepared for exams, say for example, you have exams coming up, right? Very soon, you have the first sem exams coming up. If you have not studied for your exams, what will happen? Then most probably you may not perform well in your exams, right? But if you have prepared very well every day, you have done your hard work, then at the time of exams, you'll be able to do better. You'll be able to do much better as compared to if you have not studied. So similarly, so if you want to think of Krishna at the time of death, then you have to practice throughout your life. Throughout your life, you have to practice thinking of Krishna. Therefore, they say, life is the preparation and death is the examination. Whatever you think of at the time of death, that's where your consciousness goes, and next life you're going to get a body like that. But at the time of death, you think of Krishna, then you will go to Krishna, you'll be with Krishna. And if you be with Krishna, then there's no birth or death or old age or disease or any of the miseries, and you're full of bliss. Because Krishna is an ocean of bliss. And if you're connected with him, you also become connected to the ocean of bliss. Right? So you also derive the bliss from the ocean. So my point is, so therefore we have to practice Krishna consciousness very seriously throughout our life. But now let me give you a very, very important point for all of you. So if you're really serious about Krishna consciousness, then you have to be very, very attentive to your duties, even to your so-called materialistic duties. So please, please, please pay attention to your studies. Please do your hard work. Don't waste your time. Schedule your day in such a way that you sleep on time and you wake up on time. Try to wake up early in the morning. Sleep early at night. Wake up early in the morning, and you chant your rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then you also spend maybe half an hour a day reading books of Srila Prabhupada. But the rest of the day, whole day, you please engage in your studies. Please work hard, and please also take help from other students who are good at studies. Because if you want to be Krishna conscious, then you have to be very responsible. And when you chant Hare Krishna, it is like sharpening the pencil. Like you may say, okay, if you want us to study well, then why you are asking us to chant Hare Krishna mantra? Why not just leave chanting and just only study? But if you do that, first of all, you are not faithful to Krishna, and you have forgotten the real goal of life, that is Krishna consciousness. But the second point is that even your studies also will not go so well. Why? In fact, your studies will go even better if you chant Hare Krishna. I can prove it. There's one devotee of ISKCON. His name is Gaurang Das. He's from IIT Bombay. He passed out of IIT Bombay, and he was one of the most brilliant students in his class. And he gave an example, like say if you're in a city like Bombay or Delhi. Say if you're in a city like Bombay, okay. So Bombay is such a huge city that one city itself has more than 1.5 crore population. Imagine 1.5 crore people in just one city. Whereas the whole population of Madhya Pradesh state itself is 5 crores or 6 crores, right? So in just one city, you have like so many, more than a crore of people, 101 crore people, such a huge city. Okay. So if you want to go from one end of the city to another end of the city, generally due to the traffic congestion and all, it takes 5 hours. from one end of the city of Bombay to another end of the city. It takes at least 5 hours. All right. So, but the point is, why it takes so much time? Because of the traffic, because of the signals and traffic and all that, right? Okay. So now, if you're a VIP, then if you're a VVIP or like a minister or something else, then what you can do is you have the facility to call the police, and they can, stop the traffic, or they can open up all the signals and they'll stop all the traffic just for you. Uh, at every crossroads, they'll have the police and they'll stop all the traffic and they'll let you pass. But to make those arrangements, it will take 1 hour. Okay. So the police will take 1 hour to make the arrangements. And once they stop the traffic, then you can pass from one end of the city to the other end in how many hours? In 2 hours. Okay. Without any traffic, without any signals. If you just continuously with full speed, you go from one end of the city to the other end, it takes only 2 hours. So how much time it is taking in total? So 1 hour you give to the traffic police, because traffic police also needs time to make the arrangements. So 1 hour for the traffic police and 2 hours for you to go. So total 3 hours. But without traffic police, it takes you 5 hours. So now my point is, by giving 1 hour to the traffic police, you are saving 2 hours. Whatever you are doing in 5 hours, you are doing in 3 hours, right? By giving 1 hour to the traffic police. So here, same example can be applied in our life. The traffic police is what? Traffic police is chanting Krishna. So by giving that 1 hour to Krishna, it clears all the traffic in your mind, all the unnecessary traffic and signals and all the negative attitude and so many unnecessary thoughts and distractions. So it clears all that. You are chanting, and then what you are able to do is whatever you are able to study in 5 hours, you can study in 2 hours. So you are still saving 2 hours. So therefore, chanting is not a waste of time. It is actually the best investment of your time. An artist, he may be very good artist, but if he does not have time to sharpen the pencil, then his art is not going to be very attractive. Because the pencil will be blunt, he can't do a good art. So he has to regularly give time for sharpening the pencil. So similarly, whatever time we are giving in chanting and hearing lectures like this, that is actually making your mind focused on the right thing. You're thinking about Krishna. That's the best investment of your time. Believe me, it's my realization of my 25 years of Krishna consciousness. So it's the best investment of your time. And the rest of the time, you study hard, you work hard, you get good results. You behave very nicely with your parents. Don't try to preach to them about Krishna consciousness. No, this is not the right time for you, and this is not the right age also. And you also don't have the maturity to be able to tackle their questions and all. So therefore, now it's not the time for you to teach them. It's for the time for you to respect them and learn from them, and be very polite, loving, and caring to your family, and work hard in your studies, and regularly chant Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and stay in the guidance of your counselor and learn. If you have any questions, you ask. So now is the time for questions. I'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, please do ask, and I'd like to answer your questions. Probably this might be the last session until your exams, because your exams are coming up, and so therefore I'd wish you all the best. And if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask any questions, and I'll be happy to answer. Thank you all very much. Was my language understandable to everyone? Was it clear? Okay. Gaurav Singh Chauhan, Verma. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So questions, please. Okay. Anuj Deshpande is asking, Hare Krishna, should we be worried about our death? Okay. Well, ideally, you should not worry about anything because ultimately Krishna is going to he's in charge, and whatever he does is ultimately best, even though sometimes we may not understand. We shouldn't worry about death because if it comes, then what can you do? It's not in your control. As they say, two things. If something is in your control, you can change it, then change it. There's nothing to worry. If something is not in your control and you cannot change it, then anything anyway you can't do anything about it. So then nothing to worry then also. So if you can change it, then change it. If you can't change it, then leave it to Krishna. So death is something which is beyond our control. When it will come, how it will come, we don't know. Of course, we try to take our precautions not to get affected by coronavirus and or any other disease or anything else. But ultimately, if it comes, nothing to worry because you'll get another body. So in Gita, Krishna gives a guarantee that if you practice Krishna consciousness even little bit, in your next life you'll get a human body, at least a human body, so that you can continue your practice of Krishna consciousness. But if you don't practice Krishna consciousness, then you won't. You may not get a human body. You may become an animal. But even if you did little bit Krishna consciousness, at least you'll get a human body. So nothing to worry. Let Krishna decide, and you just do your duty. You just try to remember Krishna and serve Krishna according to your situation. All right. Ritika Agrawal. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. At this time, it's so hot. It's too difficult to focus on study. Please guide. I'm not able to wake up in the morning. Also, and time gets wasted. All right. Yeah, it's so hot. Very simple. Actually, you try to make your arrangements. Don't get into luxury. If you want an AC and all, then you may get addicted to it, and your health also may get spoiled. You can use a fan, or you can use a cooler, right? So make your arrangements so that you can comfortably study. But at the same time, don't become too attached to it, or you don't become too much worried about it, right? That's the nature of the mind. If you start thinking about something, that looks very big, but the moment you ignore it, it becomes very small. But of course, you shouldn't ignore it. You should do your best. You should try to make it suitable environment. You can use a cooler or fan, as I said. You make your arrangements. You find a cool spot to study, but then don't become too much occupied with that or too much worried about it. Just don't let your mind become preoccupied with such things. Like even for me, it's so hot now, and the fan in this room is actually very far from me. I don't get any air from that fan, and I'm sweating actually. But if I start thinking about it, then I can't focus on the lecture. Okay, so I'm just trying to ignore that and just focus on what I want to speak. That's all. But the best use of a bad bargain, as they say. The best use of a bad bargain. It's a bad bargain. It's not such a good deal in the material world. So many problems. But try to do your best in that situation. So, and also, okay, waking up early in the morning. You were also talking about waking up early in the morning. Well, very simple actually. Waking up early in the morning is very difficult. I'm sorry. Hang on, bro. Video band ho. All right. So, sorry, the phone got discharged. So, all right. So, what I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, waking up early in the morning, it's not so tough. Uh, Only if you sleep early at night, because ultimately your body needs rest. It's not about waking up; it's about having enough rest. So, if you have had enough rest by 4 o'clock, then you won't find it difficult to wake up early, right? That's the simple formula. So, waking up early does not start in the morning; it starts the night before. The act of waking up early starts the night before, not on the day of waking. So you make your arrangements. So you need 6 hours or 7 hours of rest. You take those 7 hours of rest. But instead of sleeping late and waking late, better you sleep early and wake early. Why? Because according to Ayurveda, early hours of night give you more rest. Like 9 to 12 at night, you get double rest. So for every 1 hour of rest from 9 to 12, you get 2 hours of rest. And from 12 to 3, for every 1 hour, you get 1 hour of rest. And from 3 after 3 o'clock in the morning, for every 1 hour of rest, you get half an hour rest. Right? You get the point? Hmm. So for every 1 hour of rest, before 3, like from 9 to 12, 1 hour equal to 2 hours. From 12 to 3, 1 hour equal to 1 hour. From 3 after 3 onwards, 1 hour equal to half an hour. So therefore, if you sleep early, within less amount of time, you'll get more rest. It's a wonder. All right. So anyway, my point is that so therefore better you calculate. I mean, see, everything is planning. I believe this. That if you are able to plan well, then you can make your life successful. As they say, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. They say. That means if you don't plan well, then you're going to fail definitely. So for everything you need planning. You plan how much to take, when to sleep, when to wake up. You plan when to eat, what to eat. You plan when to study, what to study. You plan everything, everything planned very well. And in fact, I would suggest you take half an hour a day just for planning. You don't do anything else. Just take a paper and pen. You just plan your life, or you plan your day for half an hour. That itself will save a lot of time and effort. I do it every day. Every day in the morning, I'll just sit and plan for half an hour. What am I supposed to do today? What am I supposed to do in the next few days? How am I supposed to do that? So, okay. So yeah, so that's very important. So your question, let me see if I have answered your question. Um, so Praful Mishra, I have started to feel that I am losing my sense gratification and becoming more controlled. But sometimes I start feeling that it is too early. Something may be wrong and I might lose it. So please clarify. Okay. See, sense gratification is not altogether bad. Okay. Maybe the concept is not fully clear for you. We are not saying that sense gratification is altogether bad. Sense gratification beyond a certain amount is bad, is unhealthy. Or there's a sense gratification which is required also. Like you need to eat food, right? That is also sense gratification. But if you don't eat, you can't survive, right? So there is sense gratification which is favorable for spiritual life, and then there is sense gratification which is unfavorable for spiritual life. So what you need to do is you need to get rid of the sense gratification which is unfavorable, uh, and you engage in that sense gratification which is favorable. Some amount of enjoyment or some types of enjoyments are good, they are healthy, they help you progress in spiritual life. Don't do anything artificially. Even loving Krishna is not an artificial thing. You can't love Krishna artificially. Gradually, you need to develop your love for Krishna in an organic way. It has to be developed in an organic way. Just like a tree or a flower. If a flower is blooming, if it is organically blooming, then there's nothing unnatural about it. It happens very naturally. But if you try to open it up by force, then that's very artificial. So similarly, Krishna consciousness is not something you develop artificially. You do it very naturally. Certain unhealthy types of sense gratification, definitely watching TV and watching unnecessary things on the internet. So it's definitely unhealthy. You know, that kind of sense gratification is not good. But you eat tasty food, nice food, and of course homemade food, not just anything on the street. Um, certain decent types of sense gratification, it is allowed and that's necessary also, right? So when you're talking about sense gratification, it all depends on what kind of sense gratification. What kind of sense gratification? Hmm? So therefore, uh, yeah. So everything has to be balanced. You don't try to imitate like a big yogi in the Himalayas, okay? A yogi in the Himalayas who is just barely eating or sleeping. You're not going to imitate that person. And as you said rightly, yes, you're going to lose it if you try to do like that. So don't do anything artificially. Just let it be natural. But of course, certain rules and regulations, certain discipline, it has to be enforced. That which is expected at your level. That is very important. What amount of sense gratification is allowed for me and what is not allowed for me. What is expected of him, what is not expected. That's where the counselor comes into picture. The counselor is going to tell you, the counselor in the sense the devotees who are guiding you in ISKCON, they're going to tell you that what kind of sense gratification is okay and what kind of sense gratification is not okay, right? So yes, so stay in the guidance. Like Hemal Nemaprabhu is a qualified engineer also. He has gone through your space and is very experienced. So you can ask him also. Or if there is something that he's not able to answer, then he'll bring it to me and I can answer also. So therefore, yeah. So you just the devil is in the details. You need to find out how much is okay, how much is not okay. All right. Does it answer your question, Prabhu? I'll just take this other question from Praful and then I'll go to Anish Deshpande. Doing things keeping in mind Krishna almost every time, but as you said before, be natural, not artificial. That's the problem actually. Okay. So yes, let me tell you, it is not natural for you to think of Krishna 24 hours a day. It is not natural. Natural means fix certain amount of time every day to think about Krishna. That is natural. For you, at your level, I would suggest you every day fix your time for chanting and for hearing and reading and that kind of thing. So that time at least you fully focus on Krishna. That time you don't think about anything else. And at other times you just do your work, knowing that this is your duty for Krishna. And gradually, as you develop slowly and gradually, when you develop your love for Krishna, you become more and more attached to Krishna. Then naturally it will happen that other times also you'll start thinking about Krishna and you'll connect everything with Krishna. That happens gradually. Now don't try to jump to that level. For you, whatever rounds you're chanting, you just at that time you just focus on that and maybe some time for reading Prabhupada's books and maybe some lectures once in a while. And that's it. And the rest of the time you just do your duties. That's normally. But don't do unnecessary waste things like wasting time on Facebook, so many unnecessary things. So don't waste your time with uh, that which is not favorable for spiritual life, like watching unnecessary movies or unnecessary so many things, uh, unnecessary wasting time on the TV or internet, and chit chatting, unnecessary gossip, all that. That's just complete waste of time. Just get rid of that. But you don't try to think of Krishna all the time. It's not natural for you. At least a fixed amount of time every day. That's okay. All right. All right. Finally, Praful Mishra is satisfied today. Okay. All right, Anuj Deshpande. Should we treat our problems as Krishna's mercy or the results of our own karma? Wonderful. It's a very, very interesting and very good question. Hmm. Well, it is the results of our own karma. Krishna's mercy, Krishna's mercy is a very high level. Okay, if you want to, I mean, like Krishna's mercy, Krishna sometimes sends problems to devotees as mercy, but that he does only to very, very exalted souls, very rare, great devotees. He doesn't do it for you and me. So that is like some great souls like Pandavas and uh, Hanuman or some people like that. For them, he does that mercy. Who are you and me? We are just suffering our own karma. Okay. So Krishna's mercy comes for someone who is very specially qualified. And even if it is Krishna's mercy, a devotee is very humble. So devotee only thinks that it is my own karma. He doesn't think that Krishna sent these problems. Even the Pandavas, they did not think that Krishna sent the problems. Right? Actually, Krishna sent the problems for Pandavas because so that we all can understand how great they are, so that we all can gain lessons from their life. Therefore, Krishna sent the problems for Pandavas. But the Pandavas were not thinking like that. The Pandavas were thinking that this is our own karma. All right. So the Pandavas are great devotees. Sometimes Krishna arranges problems in their life to teach some good lessons for other people, or sometimes to show how great those devotees are. But they themselves don't think that it is Krishna's mercy. They think it is their own karma. That is out of humility they think like that. Yes, Krishna's mercy. Everything is Krishna's mercy. Ultimately, that is true. That is also true that ultimately everything is Krishna's mercy. But we don't think that we are so qualified that Krishna specially sends those problems for us. No. For us, Krishna's mercy is that we got the association of devotees and we are able to chant Hare Krishna. That is Krishna's mercy. And is helping us progress on the path of Krishna. Bhakti. Yes, so those problems, if they are helping you to surrender to Krishna more, then in that case you can think that these problems are Krishna sent by Krishna to help me surrender more. But not every problem is Krishna's mercy. Mostly it is our own karma. All right, Anuj, I like your question, Anuj. Okay, any other questions? Ritika is saying there is no AC at my home, but Prabhuji, due to warmth, I feel lethargic and I don't wish to study. As I said, what can be done? Make the best use of the bad bargain. That means do the best you can in the given situation. Try to make it little comfortable as much as possible, but don't get too overwhelmed. What can be done? If there is any way out, what can you do? Maybe drink some chach, lassi or something. And take, yeah, one good thing you can do is take a bath. Take 2 or 3 times a bath. Just take bath. As soon as you take bath, even if it's hot, you feel fresh. Okay? Feel more energetic.
सर उससे तो और जल्दी नींद आएगी.
That's your problem, man. It's not for everyone. Okay. Most people, when you take bath, नींद तो उड़ जाती है. जब मुझे नींद आती है ना, तो मैं स्नान करता हूँ, तो नींद उड़ जाती है. All right. Taking bath makes you energetic, na? It makes you fresh. But if you have that problem, then don't take bath. Drink more water. Drink something which cools your body, chach or some fruits or something, tarbooj or whatever. And make your arrangements. But then, as I said, you do your best to make it cool, okay? But then don't become too much paranoid about it. try to be more focused on your duties rather than environment so much. All right, anything else? So Praful, you just try to do it gradually, okay? Don't try to overdo. If you overdo Krishna consciousness, that's also a problem. Then there's a possibility you may leave it because you're doing it artificially. So gradually, one time you'll feel, oh, this is too much, and then you leave it. So therefore, don't overdo it. Do it gradually, and do it under guidance, right? And also, don't neglect your other duties. If your studies are going well, if you are behaving well with others, and if your chanting is steady, then everything will be smooth. Then there won't be anything for you to worry about. Let me tell you this. Let me give you a guarantee that if these three things are going smoothly, regularly, then you won't feel anything is artificial. Just chant your rounds regularly, attentively. You are chanting Hare Krishna. Study well, and also deal, have good relationships with your family and friends. Deal respectfully. If these three things are there now, then everything will be smooth. Not feeling any problem whatsoever. In fact, things are going good. Okay, so then there's nothing to worry. So then you won't feel it is artificial. So if these three things are going well, then it won't be artificial. Yeah, it's not too fast actually. It's not too fast. It's not too fast. In fact, you are progressing gradually. You are progressing quite gradually, right? In fact, it's too late. According to Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says, Kaumara acharet prajnyo. At the age of 5 years, when you are 5 years old, that's when you're supposed to start this spiritual life. And now you are, I think, almost maybe 17 or 18, right? So you are already, what, 12, 13 years late. So, I mean, it's not late. And you're not doing too fast also. All you're doing is chanting, Hare Krishna mantra, that's all. And then reading some books. You're not like spending too much time on that. All right. Any other questions? All right, so it's 8 o'clock. If there's any other question, then I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll end here. Thank you all again. And so we'll call it a day. And then, so Hemang Prabhu is going to coordinate whenever your next lecture is going to be. And then you just stay in his guidance. And if you have any questions, you can send it to him. Or if he's not able to answer some questions, then you can send it to me also. Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.